There's a lot of chatbots being used for mental health care that were not designed for mental health care. And unfortunately, they can do harm. So we're always looking for ways that our AI can be really supportive for people, provide supportive AI care that won't do harm.
In today's conversation, we're going to dive into what it truly means to bring trust and ethics to the center of AI in mental health coaching. This is The Edge of Human and AI, a Viva la Coaching podcast. We sit right where coaching meets AI, and we're not afraid to ask the uncomfortable questions. We built this show because the coaching landscape is being reshaped by intelligent systems, and the organizations, leaders, and companies shaping that future deserve honest conversations. I'm your host, Rebecca Rutschman. Each week, we'll help you understand how AI is transforming coaching. We discuss leadership development and human growth across organizations. We will help you navigate the ethical and strategic decisions that come with bringing AI into the coaching space. You'll hear from researchers, innovators, and industry leaders, as well as experts who are reimagining what's possible. Whether you're navigating AI for the first time or already building with it, this is where you belong. Follow us now and join us at vivalacoaching.com. Come stand with us at the edge. We're starting our podcast with a special season from the leading voices of the NYU Coaching and Technology Summit 2026. We will bring you bold, unfiltered conversations at the frontier where coaching meets technology and artificial intelligence. Expect real talk, sharp minds, and unfiltered conversations where we dare to ask the difficult questions. We have a very dear guest to me today, Shelby Garay, who is the program director at the internal Headspace Training Institute for their mental health coach training program. We will discover how Headspace is shaping the public narrative around responsible, personalized, AI-supported care, what it takes to train coaches who can hold that standard, and what gets put at risk when technology moves faster than the profession's ethical frameworks. Hi, Shelby. It's so lovely to have you on this podcast today.
It's wonderful to be here, Rebecca. I'm very excited to talk with you again and looking forward to seeing you at the NYU Summit again this year.
It's only a few weeks.
I know.
6-7 weeks left. Yeah, I'm very excited for this.
Me too. It's my favorite conference ever. So, yeah.
Before we start getting into the topic a little bit deeper, what would you want our listeners to understand about your role and what you're working on?
Well, I work in the field of mental health coaching specifically. I work at Headspace as the program director for our mental health coach training program that trains people to become mental health coaches and also to sit for the national board exam if that's a goal of theirs, to become national board certified health and wellness coaches. So education, training, and all things mental health and AI related are just a passion for me. And I guess I would want people to understand the importance of coaching and AI being partners and really that coaching and AI are not separate. It's not AI or coaching. It's AI amplified, or it's coaching amplified by AI. And the technology can really amplify our reach as coaches, but human connection must remain at the center. So we're really embracing AI. Obviously, at Headspace, we've always used AI for different things. And yeah, we are really leading the way in terms of ethical and trustworthy AI, which is integral and very integral in this world we live in.
What does trust-centered ethical AI in mental health coaching actually really look like in practice for you?
Yeah, well, at Headspace, it really centers around developing strategically developed tech foundations, such as large language models that will have clinical safety guardrails and oversight in place, human oversight. So we have so many layers of these classifiers of safety and guardrails, some of which include identifying risk continuously throughout a conversation. Our humans can actually enter really kind of guide, steer the AI if needed. But importantly, there's human oversight of any escalated kind of risk conversations on a daily basis. They get reviewed by a human and followed up on if necessary. We have a 30-minute limit on our AI companion Ebb. So we really think this is kind of industry leading and really necessary to prevent overuse and also prompt degradation. Because as you may know, when we have extended conversations with AI, the context can get diluted, and then the large language model can kind of drift from its original instructions to maybe have some safety guardrails in place. But by limiting the conversations to 30 minutes, we're helping to avoid that and also to help people get off the app and get on with their lives and go live their lives.
So they don't end up in this engagement and flywheel, and which we all know is very unhealthy. How did you come up with the 30 minutes?
I think it was just part of we have a clinical safety and experience council that at Headspace that is looking at really putting safety and ethics at the forefront of every decision. So it's just something that council came up with and felt like was needed because, as we're seeing, there's a lot of chatbots being used for mental health care that were not designed for mental health care. And unfortunately, they can do harm. So we're always looking for ways that our AI can be really supportive for people, provide supportive AI care that won't do harm.
Because you're really navigating a very difficult field there, where a lot has happened in the last year in regards to, everything until suicide, really, where people just use tools that weren't safe to use. So it's really great to see that you're putting all this effort in there.
Yeah, absolutely. It's really tragic when people are harmed by, these systems that weren't designed for mental health. It hits close to home. I mean, a student at my local high school where my children went died by suicide last year. But it's just it's a sad reality. But I think that companies really need to put safety and ethics, at the forefront of every decision, especially when it comes to mental health care.
Yeah. And do you maybe for our listeners that don't really know who or what Ebb is, just give a short summary of what you can do with Ebb?
Oh, for sure. Ebb is our empathetic AI companion, and it was originally designed a few years ago to be a reflective tool for like journaling and gratitude journaling and reflection of, if you're having a challenge, it would, kind of validate and also help you to reflect in different ways. And so we're building it out so that it's also doing more and more in terms of being able to guide somebody on an end-to-end journey of their mental, because we're really building this integrated end-to-end care experience for our users, where that includes self-guided content in the Headspace app, human-delivered care through coaching, therapy, and psychiatry, and also Ebb, our empathetic AI companion, as well as very strict privacy and data protections. But so Ebb can kind of really walk somebody through their care journey. Like whenever they sign onto the app, it remembers who they are, maybe checks in with them, and then guides them to whatever content they might need that day or whatever kind of support they need. Because what we're really realizing, and for I think not until recently, we always looked at mental health care as something that we think about when there's a crisis or when somebody has a severe diagnosis of some kind, not something that we take care of every day for our health. And it's really like going to the gym, right? We really need to care for our mental health every day. And having an app like the Headspace app and, that involves like an empathetic, safe, and ethical AI companion, it can really provide that end-to-end integrated care experience to help people responsibly, like meet them where they are. What do they need that day? Sometimes we need therapy. Sometimes we just need a quick meditation or breath work, right? Or maybe a quick check-in with our coach, or maybe we want to reflect with the AI companion. So that's what we're building. And Ebb is a big part of that.
And you said before that people can steer the AI. How would that look like?
Yeah, I'm not too clear on the specifics of that, but I think there's I have heard that there is a way, if we needed to, that we could do that in a certain kind of risk situation.
Mm-hmm.
Because those situations are monitored daily by, like I said, there's human oversight connected to when something is detected in a conversation. And so there's ways that, that the system could direct to really put those guardrails in place more like stringently, I should say. I mean, they're going to be there anyhow, but.
And so you're also leading the health coaching education programs at Headspace. So I would love to understand also better on how you're integrating AI or supporting even your learners, like using AI or learning more about AI in there.
Yeah, great question. I think this year, the National Board for Health and Wellness Coaching, we have like new core competencies that include AI, right, in coaching. So we are educating our students in different ways about AI in coaching, helping them to understand the different ways it can, again, support them and amplify their reach, but keeping that human connection at the center. So we, help them understand it can help with like administrative tasks on the, front end, back end, but also the data, like the behavioral nudges and the information management, things like that. But also we really try to help our students understand what is out there, right? That there are many systems out there that are not built for mental health, but they're being used for mental health, and to help them understand that those limitations and the danger that's there, so that they can, take that care for themselves and also with the clients they'll be working with. Because the reality is, when we have a coaching or therapy appointment, right, it can be really helpful, but people are living their lives 7 days in between that. And that's when they might turn to an AI companion or a general chatbot. But we really want people to understand the limitations so they can protect themselves and their clients.
I always talk a lot about in my keynotes and workshops of that coaches quite often in the future will be the second but most important voice in the room when there's also AI, because they all will use AI for some support or other. Do you also discuss topics like that with your students, or do you see actually a change already happening that the clients are using AI and bringing that into the conversation with the coaches?
Definitely. I think our clients are using AI, and I think that's why we have to ask about it, right? We just have to say, how are you using AI? And help, coaches to have those conversations with the client, to not avoid them in any way, to see how they are engaging with it. And again, help them educate and see, how they can support them, and perhaps like within the Headspace ecosphere, how they could maybe use Ebb rather than, another kind of platform. But I think having those conversations is important, right? Just like a doctor might ask somebody, now fortunately more and more doctors are asking patients about their mental health, whereas that was never done in the past. So not being afraid to have those conversations, because people are using obviously AI, but we need that human connection, right? We need that human voice in the room too.
Yeah, and I think it's very important that when you even, have conversations with AI, that you then have the presence of another human being that holds that space for you that AI can't. I think that will be very similar relationships in the future.
Yeah, definitely.
Is there something that you're currently working on that you're really excited about and maybe happy to share?
Oh, gosh. Well, one thing I'm working on, our curriculum at the Headspace Training Institute where I work, and the program that I lead, training, as I said, mental health coaches, we've tried to make it very experiential, engaging. And one thing introduced, we have a lot of workshops that take students on a kind of a deeper dive into coaching and mental health topics. One thing I'm personally passionate about is helping people to embrace failure. So as coaches and as humans, I think we've been probably conditioned mostly to avoid failure. I recently led a failure workshop, on failure, to help students start to look at it differently, right? I think this will really hopefully help them, people first themselves and how they look at that as they're going through a program of study and going out and becoming a coach, which can be really intimidating to start any kind of new career, but also to help their clients understand that failure or setbacks or mistakes is simply information we can learn from. And we have to really stop avoiding failure and embracing it. Actually, this is based on the work of Dr. Aaron Dinin, who's a professor at Duke, who leads, these wonderful classes about failure that are very popular. And he actually works with educators and facilitators to provide, the guides to lead these. So we led the workshop revolved around failure ballads. So people had to actually sing in front of everyone, which is singing is something, unless you're used to singing in front of people, most people don't want to do that. But anyhow, there's just so many wonderful things that can come out of doing something that's hard. And it's really kind of getting at the core of mental health too, where we have to accept that we're going to have difficult emotions and feelings, and it's okay. And we can work through them. And when we work through them and when we work through challenges, that's where we see the most growth. And that's where, and that actually leads to quote unquote happiness or subjective well-being, right? Rather than just pursuing happiness as some kind of goal. Yeah, it's when we can embrace and work through those discomforts, and, whether it's failure or something else, can really help us start to live our life, I think, with a different mindset.
That's so important. We all fail every day at something, even if it's something little. And, how we deal with it is then in the end, the difference. Or Brené Brown calls it vulnerability. Right. Can I really show up with my whole self, with my whole messy self, I always say.
Right. Yeah. Do we beat ourselves up, or do we just and then ruminate about it? Or do we just think, okay, that didn't go as well as I thought. What can I learn from that?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And that's the human intelligence in the end, that we're building there. Yeah.
Yes, totally. Yeah.
Headspace has been unusually public as well about its approaches to responsible AI. And I love the path you're taking there and how you're leading, because especially in mental health and well-being, it's such an important topic. Why do you think that narrative matters so much?
Yeah, well, I think that Headspace has always aimed to be the leader in responsible, ethical mental health care. And we know in these times, it's more important than ever that safety and ethics and clinical oversight are at the forefront of the products that we build and, the work that's done day to day or in every decision that's being made. So I'm really proud to work at a company that does approach the work in the way that Headspace is doing, because it is innovative. It's revolutionary to say we're going to put a 30-minute limit on our chatbot, right? And to take the time and investment to have such, strong layers of clinical guardrails and oversight. It's just important. I think it's the way Headspace has always wanted to be, and they want to maintain the trust of the name. I mean, people know Headspace, right? As I think many people, know it as the meditation app for so long and a trustworthy app in that way. But now we're so much more. We're an end-to-end mental health experience, right? And a mental health companion, more so than Ebb, but that end-to-end experience, right? And we really want to increase the access to mental health care for every human. And I think this is a way to do it, because there's a shortage of therapists. There's a shortage of psychiatrists that is not going to be met anytime soon, for decades, if it ever is. And it's not always the solution, right? Everybody doesn't always need that level of clinical care. We need to start taking care of our mental health on a daily basis, as we do, in other ways for our health.
If everybody has a little bit of skills to support others, we're already one step further on the whole path of supporting each other more as well.
Yeah.
Because not everybody can be a therapist as well.
Right.
And we have the same problem here in Europe, that there's just such a high shortage. And I was on the waiting list with my son, who is on the spectrum, to be in therapy for 1.5 years.
Yeah.
And with children, they're growing so fast, needing that support.
Yeah.
I was very happy that I had a coaching education.
Right.
So I could do that, but not everybody can do that.
No, not. And what we really, I think people need is that toolkit to help them navigate the ups and downs that are inevitable, right? And to have different tools to use. Some will be clinical and some will be subclinical, but to have that toolkit. And I think so often in the past, like in mental health too, somebody had experienced like a certain risk crisis or suicidal ideation, or we would create what we call like a safety plan, right? Which was essentially a toolkit of like, who are the people you can turn to? What are the things that help you regulate your nervous system? What can you do when you're feeling in crisis or, really aroused? And I think every human being needs that, right? We call it a care and connection plan at Headspace, or we all need one because we all are going to have those, fluctuations and difficult emotions and challenges so if we have a toolkit, we can, feel more confident that we're able to navigate those challenges and to build resilience and along the way.
What do you think does the industry need to hear that it isn't saying loudly enough yet?
The industry being like AI, the industry?
Our industry, and maybe also the AI industry.
Okay.
I think we need to have more influence there as well, but maybe like our industry in coaching and health coaching.
Yeah, I guess I think that people need to hear that coaching, human-delivered coaching is not going away. There will always be a need for human coaches. And I think there's obviously a lot of understandable, like fear or like anxiety around like, should I even invest in a coaching program or what's going to happen in my coaching career? And I think that, again, we have to look at it. It's not AI or coaching. It's not one or the other. It's coaching plus AI, and that we need to, see how it can amplify what we do, and also remember that human connection has to be at the core. I mean, AI, as you know, is really good at generating plans and analyzing data and even simulating thinking, empathy, and conversations, but it can never actually think the way a human can or replace the lived experience of being seen, heard, and supported by another human being. So I really want coaches to understand that there is so much value there to what they bring and to amplify what they do best, which is connecting with unconditional positive regard, facilitating transformation, building self-efficacy, and supporting behavior change with their clients.
It's great you're taking the path into that direction, because that was one of my next questions anyways. I wanted to get into, it's about personalized care. So it's one of the AI's biggest promises currently, especially in mental health and well-being, where they say we can personalize this to your needs. But personalization requires data, trust, and nuance.
Yes.
Especially when we look at the tools that are out there that are not actually made for mental health. And we all know that Anthropic and also OpenAI, they have launched a health part as well. Where do you see that working in regards to personalization, trust, data, and nuance currently? And where does that feel like falling apart rather?
Yeah, I mean, I think it falls apart when ethics and safety aren't at the forefront of every decision. So if we are doing that, as we're doing at Headspace, I think we're building and maintaining that reputation for a company that values privacy, ethics, safety. And that's what I think we need to convey to users and to the public, is that to distinguish between companies that are putting that at the forefront and those that are not. Yeah, it's just really important to have that level of, data protection, which we do at Headspace. I don't know all the nuances of it, but I know that that's at the forefront of every decision. And even at the program I run, when we have applicants to our program and enroll them, we don't know their address. We don't ask for anything other than an email and a name. We ask for as little information as possible, and then protect that, very securely.
I really love that. It's at the heart what we do here in Europe in regards to GDPR. It's data minimization. No, if you don't collect the data, nothing can happen with that data.
Exactly.
Yeah, and you only need the data that you really need to deliver the service, not all the extra. So your work has a very strong social justice lens. Who do you think currently gets left behind if we do not design this now carefully?
Well, definitely underserved populations, people of color, historically marginalized groups will definitely be left behind if we don't strategically design large language models to eliminate bias and to consider, the many different lived experiences and the health inequities and disparities that exist. And, every human has a right to mental health care and access to basic human needs and living wage job opportunities. And yeah, we have to make sure that we are not designing products that are just reaching people who are, say, just really passionate about the wellness. The wellness industry itself can be very exclusive. We have to be really careful about who we're designing it for and who we're providing access to.
You've developed re-entry pathways for justice impacted individuals. And I know it's very dear to your heart. How does that work change how you think about who coaching is for?
Yeah, well, I do. Like I said, I feel like every human being has a right to healthcare, to mental health care, to housing and basic needs, and to job opportunities, and to be valued for their potential and who they are and who they can become. And I'm very passionate about the justice system and helping people who have been incarcerated to reentry, to transition back into society. That's a huge life transition. And how can we support them? And I think coaching and meditation and these toolkit, can really help people as they make a major life transition and their families as well.
I can see that must be also very fulfilling to see if people manage that successfully. Not all of them will succeed.
Yeah.
But I think if we just make that small change there, I always say like every person who makes it through that re-entry is a win for everyone.
Yeah, because 95% of people who are incarcerated will come back to society. And who do we want them to be, right? Like they're going to be our neighbors. We want to help them to be able to live in our society and have the same rights and opportunities as anyone. And through the program that I lead, we have full scholarships. We work with several organizations to provide scholarships to people who normally wouldn't have access to a career path into mental health coaching or health coaching, to be able to come and get trained and have that as a possibility in their life.
That's amazing. And I love what you're doing there.
Yeah,
thank you so much for that. Yeah. Is there anything that you have not shared yet that you would love to share with our listeners?
Wow. Well, I would just say, take care of your mental health. Really look at it as something you can do every day. Like, what is something, build a toolkit, of different resources, whether they're meditation apps or books that you read or people that you can turn to, music, whatever, things that bring you joy. Make a list of them and really utilize your toolkit like it's there, and take care of your mental health every day. I just am passionate about helping people to understand and get to know themselves better and to embrace the challenges that life will bring. Life will bring us joys and challenges. And it really is through the challenges that we grow the most and actually can become, like I said earlier, like happier. I mean, it's backwards, but there's a lot of truth there. And I really want people to understand that they can build resilience with each challenge that they face and really overcome, but also to rely on other people. Reach out for support when you need it. Don't be afraid to talk about your mental health to friends, professionals. Get the help that you need. People are there, and we don't have to be doing it alone.
Wow, that's very powerful. And I love the reaching out. And I can not agree more on that, because once I talked about some of my mental health issues back in the days, it was life-changing.
Yeah.
How many people opened up or had similar experiences, but never talked about it yet. So I think there's a whole other world out there than we sometimes might be afraid of.
Right. Yes, definitely. And if I can add, I say this a lot. I think we should talk about suicide more. I think just the same way that we used to not talk about mental health, the reason that we can talk about it now and have all these resources is because people started bravely talking about it. So I really encourage people to have conversations with, their loved ones about suicide and check in with them, whether you feel like they're experiencing suicidal ideation or not. But but we need to talk about it, because when we talk about something, it becomes less taboo, right? So that when somebody is experiencing a really difficult time, they're more likely to go and reach out and seek that help, right? If they feel like they're not going to be shamed, or this is a topic that I can't talk about. No, I can talk about this. I'm really struggling, and get the help they need. So I really encourage people. And I know it's difficult to have those conversations, but we need to start having them and talking about it more.
I think if we have them, we can also be more aware and also maybe spot it in others earlier if we think there's something off. Yeah. And because the earlier we try to offer help or support, I think the more we can hopefully also avoid, because it's a phenomena here too. We also have a much higher rate of suicide, especially in young people in schools and stuff. So reach out to just your kids, your friends, others around these topics as well.
Just like people are using AI for so many things, including mental health, people are having suicidal ideation. Again, I think the statistic is around 95% of humans in their lifetime will have thoughts of suicide, right? Now, most people won't act on them. They might be very passive. However, it's just normal. It's normal if you're really struggling with something, your brain is going to try to solve that problem. And suicide could be just one of many options that your brain literally comes up with. Doesn't mean we have to act on it. But again, it's natural to have these thoughts, and we have to help people to talk about them and realize that if they are really active thoughts, then, there's help that, we can provide for them, and there's help they can seek. And
Thank you for raising that.
Yeah, thank you.
How can people learn more about Headspace and what they have to offer, and also about your health coaching program?
Oh, yeah. Well, you can check out the Headspace app. The program I lead is at Headspace Training Institute.com, I believe. And check us out. We are if you're interested in becoming a mental health coach, or just if you're interested in becoming a coach, or you're just interested in improving your communication skills, I encourage you to look at a coaching training program. I am passionate about coaching because I believe it really is at its root effective nonviolent communication skills that sadly none of us are ever taught unless we go through a program of study that would focus on those topics. Coaching skills, as you know, I'm sure, Rebecca, will help you in any role you have in life, any career, and very definitely in your personal relationships with family and friends. So I encourage people to enroll in a coach training program just to become a better communicator, a better listener. And you'll learn so much about yourself. It's very transformative to go through a coach training program like ours and others. But you'll learn so much about yourself. You'll build self-efficacy and learn how to support yourself and others in different ways.
I love that you mentioned it, because that's how we connected at first, no? When I mentioned that my kids learn nonviolent communication on stage in German schools.
I know.
Not everywhere in Germany,
that is amazing.
But my kids learned it. And you approached me and you were like, wow,
I remember
really?
that.
Is that happening?
Yeah. I always say if I was Secretary of Education, I would make sure that nonviolent communication was a part of every curriculum from preschool through high school. And I think our world would be very different.
For kids, they call it wolf and giraffe language, which is a better way of then calling it nonviolent. The wolf talks. They even have hand puppets.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
It sounds violent to use the word nonviolent for kids, especially.
No, I agree. We need a different term.
They framed it that way.
I love that.
So as we're headed to the NYU Coaching and Technology Summit, what are you most excited about?
Oh, gosh. I love everything about the summit. I love everything from the location. I mean, you cannot beat being on Washington Square Park and just the beautiful daylight. It's just set up for learning. Usually when you go to a conference, it can be in this dark hotel room and it's, you're sitting. There's a lot of movement. There's a lot of bright light. It's just a beautiful environment to learn and to connect with people. So I'm also looking very much forward to seeing people like you and that I've met at the summit before, and just meeting new people that are doing innovative things in coaching. And I love how it combines academia with technology and innovation and coaching. And it's just a wonderful place to meet and to learn. And what are the leading edge things that are happening? What are people creating? and also, facing and discussing the challenges for coaching as we, live in a world that's rapidly changing.
And sitting on the 10th floor, enjoying the beautiful view over New York, having a coffee. Yeah.
No, but seriously, it makes a difference. Like it's just a very enlivening atmosphere for learning and meeting people and connecting.
Thank you very much for joining me on the podcast today.
Thank you, Rebecca. It's always a joy to talk with you. Thank you. And I'll see you at the summit.
Shelby works at the intersection of mental health, AI, and ethics, and she knows the cost of getting it wrong. She also teaches coaches to embrace failure, because working through discomfort is where real growth happens. Those two ideas sit together in a way I find uncomfortable, because the question I'm left with is this: are we as an industry willing to do the slow, hard work of getting this right? Or are we going to wait until something forces us to? If today's conversation has you thinking, and you want to be in the room where these conversations happen in real life, there's still time to join us at the 5th Annual NYU Coaching and Technology Summit in New York. This year's theme is coaching at organizational scale. And it's exactly the kind of question this podcast was built around. We'll be at the Kimmel Center at NYU in New York City the 15th and 16th of June. Come and be part of it, and you'll find the link in the show notes at theedgeofhumanandai.com. That's it for today's episode of The Edge of Human and AI, a Viva la Coaching podcast. If this conversation opens something up for you, the best thing you can do is share it. Send it to a colleague, a client, a fellow coach, anyone who's asking the same questions you are. The more of us standing at this edge, the better the conversation gets. Follow us on your favorite podcast app so you never miss an episode. And come find us at vivalacoaching.com, where you'll find resources, community, and conversations you won't find anywhere else. We'll be back next week with another voice from the edge. Until then, come stand with us at the edge.